I'm gonna be real with you guys, there was no world in which I didn't adore Iron Lung. Not only is it an indie production run by a creator that I highly respect, but it is an adaptation of a very small video game that has held a special place in my heart for over 2 years now. Longtime fans of the channel may even remember me discussing it in my second ever video, back when I sounded like a chipmunk. So as the reviews started piling in for the movie, mostly saying positive but critical things, I figured that what was probably going to happen is that I'd love it in spite of the flaws it had. But no, that's not the case. I'm here to say that Iron Lung is, in my opinion, a genuinely great movie that I don't fully get the criticism of at all. For those of you who don't know, Iron Lung is a movie written by, directed by, edited by, and starring Mark Fischbach, commonly known as Markiplier, a YouTuber with nearly 40 million subscribers. It's based off of a video game also called Iron Lung. The movie revolves around a world where an event called the Quiet Rapture occurred, in which every habitable planet and star suddenly disappeared, leaving only people left on space stations alive. The main character, Simon, is a convict who is sent to a moon with an ocean of blood to gather data and see if it could be habitable. Of course though, things don't go to plan, and the movie really kicks off when he gets himself lost and finds things that were best left uncovered. Going into this, I kept a few things in mind. I'd played the game a few times and knew the main beats it hit. I knew a lot about Markiplier, though didn't watch his content, and I knew that the main complaint people had was that it got really confusing in the second half. So I went in bracing for all of these, which may have changed my opinion slightly. So first point of order, the horror. This is a goddamn stressful movie. No, it doesn't have all that many jump scares, and the creature itself is less important than you'd expect, but the longer the movie goes on, the more things there are that could kill our protagonist at any time. There's the O2 slowly depleting, the hallucinations meshing in with reality, the blood leaking through every possible crack. My personal favourite addition is everything they did with the camera. Not only is it used creatively as a light source, but its use of X-rays slowly poisons Simon every single time he uses it. In order to have any safety for doing repairs or seeing what's around him, he has to sacrifice a little snippet of his life. Like, come on, that's awesome! And all of these factors really come together by the end in this desperate attempt to save humanity, all as everything that could go wrong is going wrong. It's some genuine Safdie Brothers levels of energy and off-the-walls madness that really has to be seen to be believed. I won't deny that the first 30 minutes, or hell, even the first hour, don't give you that much in the way of scares, but it's more than worth it by the end. Another thing I really love about this movie is the flow of the story. I've heard some people complain about the pacing, and sure, I think the broad strokes of the story probably take too long, but I was engaged in each individual scene a lot. I wouldn't really say there's ever a dull moment in this one, it just keeps on adding more and more factors, makes you question what's going on, and keeps up the unnerving and unsettling ambience. A lot of that has to do with the claustrophobic location. There isn't any escape or breaks from what's going on. You were stuck right inside the sub with Simon, and I think that's what made the story as investing as it was. I was definitely skeptical of a 2-hour runtime, given that the game is only an hour long and pretty damn uneventful at that, but this movie really earned that length in my eyes, and if anything, felt kind of shorter than 2 hours. The other significant thing that I fully loved about this movie were the visuals. God, this is great to look at. The dark and foreboding colour scheme, the blood and practical effects at the end, the way they fully brought the submarine to life. It stays faithful to the game while adding a fair few new things that feel like great add-ons, like the design of the bay where the sub is lifted into, or the crawl space. The visuals really kick off in specific moments though, like that moment where he fully encounters the light, or especially that ending sequence that was well and truly a feast for the eyes. I can't really analyse this since you just have to see it for yourself to get what I'm saying, but I much prefer this smaller scale visual style that always looks great as opposed to movies with a lot of objects to create and render that leaves a lot of room for mistakes. Also, the new creature design is really iconic and well done. So those were the things I unabashedly loved. Let's go into the negatives that people commonly bring up about this movie. First off, the fact that you don't have a clue what's going on in the second half. And look, I don't fully agree with the criticism, but I do see where everyone's coming from. This movie hardly explains anything about its plot. You have to pick up everything through split-second flashbacks, vague mentions of things that happened in the past, and flipping psychedelic poetry. And on the one hand, I kind of like this. The game works so well not because of the story, but because of the ambience, and I think the movie replicates that well enough to the point where I was okay being a little confused. Also, Simon in this movie is confused as hell throughout the latter half. Given that this movie is really built to put you right where Simon is, I think it makes sense to have the movie confuse you. With that said though, yeah, it does go too far into confusion in some ways. I think I just needed a little more exposition on the backstory of some of these guys. I saw this movie with a group of friends, one of which had watched a lore breakdown before seeing it, and he explained to me the history of Eden and Filament Station and Simon's family, and that all sounded really cool and none of it was really legible in the movie. Same with The Light, which I still think works pretty well as a cosmic horror concept, though it treats it more like a tangible enemy than an incomprehensible god by the end, which just added to the confusion. I'd have to agree that the confusion is the most significant issue of the movie, though it's really not as bad as some people are making it out to be. Another critique that people commonly bring up is Mark Fischbach's acting, many of which are saying is good, but not great to fit a movie this reliant on its lead. In my opinion, Mark Fischbach's acting is good. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I thought he did a pretty great job here and sold most of the terror that this guy would be feeling. I especially love how he changes throughout the movie, going from kind of cocky and annoyed to immensely stressed out to a kind of desperate and empty husk of his former self. Sure, he's clearly not a professional, but I definitely wouldn't call his acting a detriment. One thing that this movie did do that kind of frustrated me was underutilized elements. I am a simple man. I see big fish, I want to see more of big fish. I want to see big fish move, I want to see big fish up close. Alongside that, I was curious of this movie's addition of more surface contact and a whole world outside the mech. Both of these got me pretty excited at the start, but neither of them end up getting all that much screen time by the end. This movie does get a fair bit of mileage and fear out of the rising danger inside the submarine, alongside the cosmic horror elements, but the surface aspect of the story was interesting enough that I would have liked to have seen more of it, and the fish itself is straight up underdeveloped. I went in expecting the whole movie to revolve around the fish, like the game, but nah, it mostly just shows up as an add-on. Which is a shame because I don't think the cosmic horror in this one ever hits the highs I got when that eye appeared in the game. What else is there? Oh, this is a small issue, though I figure I'll mention that the only grievance I still have about this movie is that you can definitely feel that it's amateur. In some ways I liked this. It made the movie feel more loved and passionately crafted, like with the design of this mech, but in other ways it detracts from the movie. This is something that affects pretty much every aspect, but a good example is the dialogue. The dialogue in this movie is a bit messy. Characters will repeat things a fair few times, say things a little out of order, all errors that aren't all that significant, but add up over the movie. Same with the editing. The editing has its moments, though there's a fair few shots that feel repetitive or unnecessary, alongside some higher energy moments being really difficult to follow, not in a good way. The cinematography is similar, though I definitely liked that more. That montage where he maps the ocean floor using tons of match cuts was awesome as flip. Okay, time for final notes. I like how much is left for the viewer to figure out, like how the oxygen works, why the fish is skeletal and all that. I like it when movies trust their audience to pick things up on their own. The first thing one of my friends said after seeing it was that it was the most stressful movie he's seen in a while, and he saw Mighty Supreme just last month, so take that for what it's worth. Also, I loved hearing Jacksepticeye in a movie, but got war flashbacks when I realized Elsie Lovelock was here. I just want to be rid of Hazbin Hotel, you guys. Anyways, those are pretty much all my thoughts on the movie. I went in cautiously optimistic and came out really glad that it lived up to the hype. Is it perfect? No. But in my humble opinion, it is a high energy, good looking, ambient, and fantastic adaptation that is well worth your time. It's the type of thing that I think has made me like the game less because of how much new they were able to add. I'd give it a really solid 8 out of 10, and can easily see myself watching many scenes from it again and again. I hope Mark Fischbach ends up making more movies, since he's clearly got a lot of talent to work on so many parts of this, and have them all end up really great. Well, that was a video I decided to make out of my passion for Iron Lung. Time to balance things out with a video I don't feel passionate about at all. Urban Spook Ranking it is, gamers! Thanks for watching, mark your pliers, and cue the outro music.